Have you ever heard a story so epic, so legendary, that it sounds like it's straight out of a Hollywood blockbuster? Well, today we're diving into one of the most famous stories of all time, the legendary Trojan War and the fall of the great city of Troy. This isn't just about a big wooden horse. It's a tale of love, betrayal, 10 years of brutal warfare, and one of the cleverest tricks in history. So, let's set the stage. Picture this, the mighty city of Troy, with its towering, impenetrable walls, located in what is now modern-day Turkey. For 10 long years, a massive army of Greek heroes, the Achaeans, has been camped outside its gates, trying everything they can to conquer it. We're talking about legendary warriors like Achilles, the nearly invincible Superman of his day, and Agamemnon, the High King leading the charge. But Troy's defenses, led by their own champion, Prince Hector, were just too strong. The war itself started over a woman, Helen, said to be the most beautiful woman in the world. She was the wife of the Spartan king, Menelaus, but she eloped with Paris, a prince of Troy. Menelaus was, to put it mildly, not happy. He called upon his brother, Agamemnon, and together they rallied all the kings and heroes of Greece to sail to Troy, lay siege to the city, and bring Helen back. For 10 years, the fighting was relentless. Heroes on both sides fell. The great Achilles himself, after slaying Hector in a dramatic duel, was eventually killed by an arrow to his one weak spot, his heel. Even with their greatest warrior gone, the Greeks fought on, but they were exhausted, demoralized, and no closer to breaching Troy's walls. They were at a stalemate, and it seemed like the war might never end. This is where our main man, Odysseus, comes in. Odysseus was the king of Ithaca, but more importantly, he was known as the smartest, most cunning of all the Greek leaders. He realized that brute force wasn't working. After 10 years of bloodshed, they needed a different approach. They needed to outthink the Trojans, not just outfight them. And so, in a stroke of genius, Odysseus came up with a plan so audacious, so crazy, that it just might work. He proposed that the Greeks build a giant, hollow wooden horse. Inside this horse, a small, elite group of their best warriors would hide. The rest of the Greek army would pretend to give up. They would pack up their camp, board their ships, and sail away, making it look like they had finally admitted defeat and were heading home. The horse would be left on the beach as a supposed offering to the goddess Athena to ensure their own safe journey back across the sea. The idea was that the Trojans, seeing the Greeks gone and finding this magnificent horse, would be filled with relief and triumph. They would believe the war was finally over. In their celebration, they would drag the horse into their city as a trophy of their victory. Then, under the cover of night, the hidden soldiers would climb out, open the city gates from the inside, and let the rest of the Greek army who would have secretly sailed back pour into the city. It was a massive gamble. What if the Trojans were suspicious? What if they burned the horse or smashed it to pieces? The men inside would be trapped. But desperation breeds boldness. The Greek leaders, seeing no other option, agreed to the plan. A master craftsman named Epeius was put in charge of constructing the colossal statue from the wood of fir trees. It was a magnificent, awe-inspiring creation. When it was finished, Odysseus and a select group of the bravest Greek warriors, including the fearsome Neoptolemus, son of Achilles, and Menelaus himself, climbed inside through a hidden trap door. They were crammed together in the dark, silent belly of the beast, their hearts pounding with a mix of fear and anticipation. With the commandos hidden inside, the rest of the Greek army played their part perfectly. They burned their tents, packed their ships, and set sail, disappearing over the horizon. As morning broke, the Trojan sentries on the walls couldn't believe their eyes. The sprawling Greek camp that had been a fixture of their landscape for a decade was gone. The beaches were empty, except for one thing: the enormous, silent wooden horse. Cautiously, the Trojans emerged from their city. They gathered around the strange offering, debating what to do with it. Some were suspicious. A priest named Laocoon famously warned them, "I fear the Greeks, even when they bear gifts." To prove his point, he hurled a spear into the horse's side, and the sound of clanging armor echoed faintly from within. But just then, a pair of giant sea serpents appeared from the ocean and tragically attacked Laocoon and his 2 sons, dragging them to their deaths. The Trojans, horrified, saw this as a sign from the gods. They believed Laocoon had been punished for disrespecting the sacred offering to Athena. Their fears were further put to rest by a Greek spy named Sinon, who had been deliberately left behind. Sinon, a brilliant actor, told a convincing sob story. He claimed he had deserted the cruel Odysseus, and that the horse was an offering to Athena. He even added a clever twist. The Greeks had intentionally built it too large to fit through Troy-esque gates. Their hope, he claimed, was that the Trojans would destroy it, thereby angering the goddess and bringing her wrath upon Troy. But if the Trojans brought it inside their city, they would earn Athena's favor and protection forever. This was the final push the Trojans needed. Overjoyed and convinced of their divine victory, they dismissed the last few voices of caution. They believed the war was over, and they had won. A great celebration began. In their euphoria, they tore down a section of their own supposedly impregnable walls to make an opening wide enough for the giant horse. With ropes and rollers, the entire city population worked together to haul their own doom inside their gates. That night, Troy was a city of pure celebration. The streets were filled with music, dancing, and feasting. The Trojans, after 10 years of siege and fear, finally let their guard down completely. They drank, they sang, they celebrated their freedom, completely unaware of the danger lurking in the heart of their city. As the festivities wound down and the city fell into a deep, drunken sleep, the moment had come. In the dead of night, Sinon crept to the horse and gave the signal. The trapdoor opened, and Odysseus and his soldiers silently rappelled down into the darkened streets. Their first task was to kill the sentries at the main gate. Swiftly and silently, they accomplished their mission. Then they unbarred the massive gates and signaled to the Greek fleet, which had sailed back under the cover of darkness and was waiting just offshore. The entire Greek army swarmed into the unsuspecting city. What followed was not a battle, but a slaughter. The Trojans, caught completely by surprise, many of them still asleep or too drunk to fight, were no match for the vengeful, organized Greek soldiers. The city that had stood defiant for a decade was overrun in a single night. Fires raged through the streets, and the sounds of celebration turned into screams of terror. The royal palace was stormed, and the Trojan king, Priam, was killed. The men of Troy were put to the sword, and the women and children were taken as slaves. The great city was looted, sacked, and burned to the ground. By sunrise, Troy was nothing but a smoking ruin. The fall of Troy marked the end of an era. The Greek heroes had their victory, but for many, it was a hollow one. The journey home was perilous for many, including Odysseus, whose 10-year struggle to return to Ithaca is another epic story in itself. The story of the Trojan horse has echoed through the centuries as the ultimate symbol of deception. It is a timeless lesson about not underestimating your opponent and the danger of letting your guard down in a moment of triumph. It gave us the phrase "beware of Greeks bearing gifts" and the concept of a Trojan horse to describe any trick that involves smuggling an enemy into a protected place. It's a tale of human ingenuity, desperation, and the brutal realities of war. A story that, thousands of years later, still captures our imagination. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey back to the age of heroes, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more epic stories from history and mythology. Let me know in the comments what legendary tale you want to hear next. See you in the next video.